Well, here we are backstage once again at the Vic, but this time we have world-renowned luminary Gary Louris, known from the Jayhawks, Golden Smog, and a brief stint in Mr. Mister. That's not true.
That's not true.
He wasn't a Mr. Mister. However, now he's doing a little producing, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm also, this gentleman sitting next to me, this handsome little devil, his name is Patrick Creadon. And he directed an independent movie that was released this year called WordPlay. Now, real briefly, WordPlay is a documentary about crossword puzzles.
Believe it or not.
And when Patrick first told me he was doing a movie about this, my first response was, what, so a documentary on killing puppies was already taken? Because it didn't strike me as something that was really going to, let's see, get a mainstream type audience.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
We heard that a lot.
It's probably one of, if not the best movies of the year. You're here to hear first. It will be nominated for an Academy Award. And I'll bet you we'll beat that gore movie called Everyone's Gonna Die, or something like that.
The other feel-good documentary of the summer.
Yes, but
Inconvenient Truth.
being that this is an independent music show, we're here to talk about the music. And talking to Patrick and seeing him go through this whole experience of making this movie, which truly was an independent movie, from the budget and from securing the music for this, was a crazy tale. So why don't you start with how an independent movie gets made, especially from your perspective, and then that concept where you don't have the rights to the songs when you start off, and, then take it from there.
Right. Well, we were just talking just a minute ago about whether it's independent movies or independent music, they're kind of the same creature, and that the great thing about them is you don't really need to wait for somebody sitting behind a desk to greenlight your album or greenlight your movie or whatever. And so, in that sense, it's really fun to be here tonight with Golden Smog and with Gary and everybody, because I think we sort of have a similar approach to what we do, in that if you want to do an album or you want to make a movie, just do it. Don't wait for somebody to say, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Go ahead and go do it." So we made the movie in our spare bedroom at home. We went to Sundance. We were
and you did this. There was no one backing you. There was no one say, "Go make this movie."
No,
and if you do it, we'll buy it.
We just did it because we like to do the puzzle. My wife and I are big New York Times crossword puzzle fans. We found out Gary was as well.
Right.
And when our music supervisor, a woman named Tracy McKnight, when she recommended Gary, I got really nervous because I was like, I don't know, Gary Louris, he's like one of my favorites. No, seriously, I was like, we were nervous because we were like, the only problem is, what if Gary does a song and it doesn't somehow fit with the movie, and how could we possibly tell him that? And she's like, don't worry about it. Gary's a pro, and don't worry about that. Just do it. So we did it, and the song arrived, and it was fantastic. It's the theme song of the film. It plays during the end credits. It's eligible for an Academy Award, which we're applying for. We're going to apply to see if it can get nominated as Best Song of the Year. I think it has certainly as good a chance as any. So it was really a thrill to meet him and to work with him.
Great. Now, Gary, from your perspective, what's your background? Because this is something that was of special interest to you because of your interest in crossword puzzles. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. I'm a big crossword freak. In fact, most of the pictures you see of me, backstage or in a studio, I'm always my head's down and I'm doing the crossword puzzle, and it's really gotten me through a lot of really boring moments where you just can't read a book maybe backstage all the time. But so that was interesting to me, and I'd gone to this thing called the Sundance Film Composers Workshop 2 summers before, and the guy had a real interest in film scoring and doing songs for movies. So that fit, and Tracy was a friend of mine, and since then we've been continuing working together, and she's been funneling projects to me, and she's been great. But this was perfect, and they knew the Jayhawks, and there's kind of that Midwestern feel to the relationship, and it just all worked.
Now, had you written the song after you had heard about the movie? Is this something you had been working on prior?
You know what? It was a little piece of something I had.
Yeah.
And it went completely, it was a different rhythm, and it had different words. I don't know if it really had words. And so, usually I just kind of scour the bank and see if I have anything. And it just seemed to fit right off. And we gave them a couple different things, and they liked this right away.
So, by the way, I don't know if I told you this or not, but as we were making the movie, it was long days in the edit room, and it was sort of, it was hard. It was a lot of work. You know, we didn't know if we were going to get the movie out, or we didn't know if we'd sell it and get it distributed or anything. But so I put Gary's song at the #1 top of my iTunes. So every morning when I sit down to work, that's the very first thing I hear, and it gets me psyched up to go to work. And it was my good luck charm. So it really, and so the movie, we've heard it 1,000 times. We've heard from people how good the music is. We wanted something contemporary. We wanted something really fresh that felt like what the movie felt like.
Right.
And that was where Gary came in.
Well, I'll tell you what. No, at the end,
Temporary.
he's right about it too, because the movie flows great. It starts off with that cake tune, which I thought was awesome,
Yeah.
and at the very end, when the credits start rolling, there's that familiar voice that everybody knows, which is Gary's voice, and it sounds cheesy. I'm getting chills talking about it, just because I saw you go through the whole process, and to get Gary was a huge coup.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
I got the call that week.
Well,
when
it
I
was
got
a coup for me too. It's a cool movie. We didn't know what it would do.
Yeah.
You know, I did it because I liked these guys, and the movie was cool, and the subject matter was great, and little did we know how well it was going to do.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys have been awesome enough to agree to sit down in Chicago. Gary's got a show tonight.
About an hour.
But an hour. He was up till 5 a.m. in New York last night. He has
The night before. Last night
So
was
he
Boston.
he has been unbelievably patient, and he has been gracious enough to play the song from
I'll give it a
WordPlay.
try. I'll see
And
you.
I wish my 4.5-year-old was here too, because she could sing every word with
really?
you. She knows the music by heart.
Well,
but-
next time.
Yeah.
And when I was just in New York Sunday. This is Tuesday. And then I took the train from Boston, New York
cool.
to Boston.
Oh,
so we
cool.
went to first stop Stamford.
Oh, yeah,
They call it
yeah.
Stamford.
Stamford, Connecticut. Yeah.
Stamford. Anyway, I was like,
Stamford, Connecticut is the home of the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament, which is where a lot of the movie takes place. So